Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
All right, let's do it for real.
Hey, Liz.
Hi, Maggie. Good morning. Oh no,
Good
we're off
morning.
the rails already.
Good afternoon. I know, we just started. I'm telling you, we could sell for a lot of money the 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of us chatting before we start recording. It would be like worth good money. I mean, it would have to have explicit lyrics on it. There's like, I feel like there was multiple cursing just going on.
Yeah.
And it's like nonsense. I'm not sure if I'm not sure it would be worth that much.
I think it would be worth very little, but some people would enjoy us.
Yeah.
Just so you'll know what you missed. We were singing we were going round and round, and we were just like making it into lots of things. Like spend and spend.
Well, then we were singing
Trick
It's Tricky.
and trick. Oh yeah, we were singing It's Tricky. That's good.
Because today, in case you want us to get on with the show topic, today we are going to talk about how to trick yourself into spending less money.
Mm-hmm. It's tricky to spend less money to shop around. That's right. It's tricky.
It's tricky. It's tricky spending less money. No, it's trick yourself into spending. Okay, we're still working on that. I can't remember, what song were we doing in our last episode?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Shop around to jump around.
Shop around. Yeah, we were doing jump arounds. So yeah, if only I could afford music rights in these podcasts, we would actually play a little It's Tricky for you.
I think it's better when we sing it, actually.
You're right. It's better for everybody. So do you think you can trick yourself into spending less money?
I absolutely think you can trick yourself into spending less money, and I have successfully done it. Me, I'm not that smart. I'm kind of easy to trick.
Yeah. I didn't mean, you're not that smart. I was like, yeah, that's a good point.
I can't tell if I'm smart because I'm the one doing the tricking, or if I'm not smart because I'm the one also being tricked.
Yeah, like, have you outsmarted yourself, or are you just not? I'm not even sure what's going on right now, so that might say something about me.
But that's what we want to talk about today, is all the ways that you can trick yourself into spending less money, because there's a lot, and some of them I think are kind of fun.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this is the holidays. This is a good time of year. This is like November. This is when I think a lot of spending is increased because we're being marketed to so aggressively. It's just like, it's like the email marketing is going crazy. All the ads, everything's on sale. You feel like you need to, I mean, you're trying to buy gifts for people. You're trying to treat yourself, whatever the reasons are. But there's just like, this is a spendy quarter of the year.
Yeah, it's almost Black Friday.
Yeah, there's already we're recording this in early November. There are already Black Friday sales. I just succumbed to one last night, and I was like, wait, this is a Black Friday sale? That's like at the end of November, but it started already.
I think, okay, personal opinion is that when there are quote unquote Black Friday deals, like the ones that are actually on the Friday after Thanksgiving are the good deals. If it starts in November, that's just a sale.
I agree. They're using the term. They're extend, which is, I used to work in retail. Like, this is how it works, right? They're extending the length of, that, whatever. Okay, so the other thing I think is
the Black Friday inflation.
Black Let's not call it Blackflation.
Black Friday.
Fryflation. Black Fryflation.
Yeah.
Black friedflation.
It's just
Friday-flation.
Expanding to. I swear I see Black Friday deals in July. It's bonkers.
Yeah,
it's not real.
That's a good term for it. Our ability to like rewrite song lyrics and the English language is like very high. I'm just praising myself. Like, we're good at this, Liz.
I don't know why I was thinking really hard the other day about when we did a whole episode about high yield savings accounts and kept calling Wealthfront Wolffront. And I was like, I wonder, but I was really thinking hard the other day. I was like, I wonder if anybody who worked at Wealthfront would ever listen to this. And I wonder if they did, if they laughed or if they were like, you idiots.
Laughed or cried or laughed or were like, we were about to reach out to you for a branding deal until you mispronounced our name for half the episode. You're officially out. Yeah. I was like, wow, we ruined that relationship before it started. I still love Wealthfront. And if I need to call you Wealthfront to get a sponsorship, I'm more than happy to quit calling you Wolffront.
And by a sponsorship, we just mean like, could you just send us a hoodie? Like
yeah, I would love a hoodie. Oh my God, I would love a hoodie. That's all. And then I'll wear it all the time and post pictures of myself wearing it. For free, really. Just send me the hoodie. That's all I need.
Their colors are purple. You would love that so much. That would be your favorite thing.
Oh, do you think they have hoodies? Oh, I'm going to write them a letter and tell them about how much I love them and see if they'll send me a hoodie.
You should. You should send them a link to the episode and be like, we love you so much. And
I'm literally putting it on my to-do list right now.
Literally?
Literally.
Literally?
I'm stopping whatever we're supposed to be. Wealthfront letter and purple hoodie. I also want it to be a purple hoodie, let's be clear. Mm-hmm. If not, maybe I could actually just customize my own one and then send it to myself. I mean, there are logos on the internet. Like, sad times if I have to do that, you know?
Maggie, I just almost spit my coffee
all over the mic.
Just the idea of you making this like sad fangirl hoodie.
Yeah, I know, but I might.
Okay, all right. Focus.
Okay, sometimes I look at the time on our recording. I'm like, how long have we been recording and we haven't started the episode yet? I think we started. We talked about some stuff. Okay, here's
I don't know why. But like you like doing like an iron-on transfer.
No, I was gonna like order it from the internet. I was gonna do all the sites that let you do like on demand. You know, I mean, but an iron-on is what I would have done like in college for this same scenario. But I'm going to do it like a little more profesh than an iron-on, okay?
I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
I know that might make it worse. I'm just going to get a Sharpie and write Wealthfront on the front of a sweatshirt I already have.
I'm just going to put a sticker on my shirt.
Oh, maybe they have a patch I could embroider on.
That's amazing.
Or an iron-on patch. I'll be like, could I get a sweatshirt? Or if you don't have one, just an iron-on patch. Or if you don't have that, just a sticker. Or could you just reply to my email and tell me you like me?
Could you just send me an attachment with your logo?
I know. Could I just get a high-res logo? Okay. 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 You done? Pull it together, Liz. This is a professional recording.
I'm literally crying. You know what?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't want to go into the details of what was going on, but the other day I was laughing so hard I started crying. Greg and I were talking about something and I was laughing like so hard and then I just started crying. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm crying. Okay. It's a funnier story if I tell you the whole context, but I'm not going to.
We'll save that for the non-existent Patreon.
The pre and post. Yeah, that's for the pre and post session. Okay.
It's been
tricky.
There's a lot going on in the world. We need to find
joy.
Some
joy where we can. Exactly.
Okay. I actually am excited about this topic.
I am too. Okay. And I think so let's kick this off. So much, we were talking about like tricking ourselves, outsmarting ourselves, like whatever, but so much of spending and not spending is psychological. So I just want to say that too, in case you're not sure what's going on now. We're actually starting the topic we're talking about in the podcast. But I just want to remind people, like, you actually can trick your brain into spending less money by doing certain tactics. Some of them incredibly easy. Some of them, take a little bit more legwork and setup, but you can do it. It is very feasible and real. And so much of why we buy stuff is psychological. And every company, I always like to remind people, because it gets me fired up, is like, every company out there is using psychological tactics to sell us more stuff. Even the point you made about, Black Friday sales, like, the whole month of November is a Black Friday sale now. And it's like not even it's the less good sale before the real sale on, the day after. And so they're using these tactics against us. We need to use our own tactics to, fight back. Or we're going to constantly be buying more stuff than we need, than we want, than we can afford.
Fully agree. And it can be fun. Like, it's not like, I mean, we can fight back in this like war of consumerism, and it can just be kind of fun to play these little games with yourself and see how many fake points you can score by not buying things.
Totally. And there's no downside to this, because in the end, you can always still go buy the thing if you really want it, right?
Totally.
If these things just delay a purchase, and we'll talk about it, then it might still be something you really do want, right? But there's just no downside to trying some of these things, I think, is my point.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get into our bag of tricks. The first one, guess what? You've heard us say this 10,000 times before, but track your spending. Track your spending, whether you track it manually, whether you use an app. Maggie and I, and every Inside Out Money co-host actually uses Monarch Money, as well as our own little
Ooh, I need a
collection of
Monarch
spreadsheets.
hoodie.
Oh, yes, you really do.
Okay, I'm going to have to email a few people. I'm going to get like a form email going and send it to every tool now.
Yeah, you're going to like that one too, because their logo is pink. And you just love, it's funny because I'm looking at you on video and it's just all pink and purple. Your microphone and your sign and your shirt are you wearing a shirt? Is that just a sports bra?
Nah, just a sports bra.
Yeah.
It's in fairness, it's 73 degrees today in November. So yeah.
I don't know if the mic picked up that zip. I don't know why I just unzipped my jacket
she just
to show you.
Unzipped her jacket, showed me her sports bra, zipped it back up.
I'm not wearing, I do this thing where I don't wear a shirt and I only wear a jacket, and we call it pulling a Liz. Is like literally what we call it in our house when you forget to put on a shirt and you just put on like the outerwear instead. That's
funny. My kids do that a lot. They'll go somewhere and they'll just have like a sweatshirt on, and I'm like, are you wearing I'm like, it might be hot where we're going, or can you even take that off? And they're like, oh no, I don't have anything on under it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like a thing.
I mean, I'll do it with a sweatshirt often, but I'll do it with like a jacket. I'm just wearing a jacket and no shirt.
Our ratio of podcast like financial talk to other nonsense is very off on this episode. Right. I'm going to bring us back in since I got us off track with the Monarch hoodie. We love Monarch was your point.
Yes. Anyway,
big fans of Monarch.
Great transition back. So tracking your spending is just, everyone should be tracking their spending. Even if you don't do it all the time, if you do it for a month, for 3 months, if you do it every now and then, I think all of us meaning all the co-hosts and Inside Out Money track on a regular basis. But with any habit, you do better when you write things down. If you want to make your bed more, if you write down every time you make your bed, you're going to do it more. If you want to spend less, if you have to write down every single thing that you spend money on, you will spend less money. You will buy fewer things if you are writing it down.
If you're writing it down, and then also if you're reviewing it on a regular basis. So if you're using like Monarch, you're not literally writing it down, but you actually like turn on the notifications. I get little like reminders from Monarch that I'm over some budget, and I'm like, I push them away and then I keep living my life. Just kidding. They're great reminders. And they're good. I mean, they're nice because, so anyways, it's the electronic version of writing it down, but there's a lot of benefits to tracking your spending.
And even if you don't put a budget or a goal in, even if you didn't say, oh, I want to try to keep my spending under this amount, or I want to try to not buy these things, just by virtue of writing it down, you will make choices that you are happier with because you're more self-aware. It's just really, I know we talk about tracking your spending a lot, but it really is the foundation to a lot of other good habits. And then another, like a subset of tracking your spending that some people really, really love is the idea of using cash envelopes. Maggie, have you ever used cash envelopes?
I never have. No, I'm familiar with the process or approach, but no, I never have.
I never have either. I just don't like cash.
Well, it's hard. It's a lot harder and harder to use cash these days.
Yeah.
But it's there's like, my friend is like a partner now with Qube Money, which is super cool, actually. I didn't even think about this. It's super cool, but it's a digital version of cash envelopes that's kind of tied to a credit card. And you literally have like categories and you open up and the credit card won't work when you're past it. It's super cool.
Cool.
I've not talked about it much on here, but I'll put a link to it in the show notes because it's super cool.
So you're saying you could set up your account to say, okay, I only want to spend $500 on groceries. And if you try to swipe your card at the grocery store and you've gone over 500, it'll decline. But if you try to swipe your card somewhere else, it'll still go.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know I've had this conversation with him and I can't remember. Hey, Matt, by the way. And I know you can like, if you do it like actually creates different credit card numbers from the same account. And so if you do something that's like on an auto renew, the best way to like not accidentally auto renew something is the card won't work anymore. If you set it up for like a one-time charge for something that's in your budget. So I don't know the exact rules, but it is, or the exact way it works, but I do know it is like a digital version of cash envelopes.
I love it.
Which is much more feasible these days because it's hard to, I mean, there's a lot of things I do where I could not use cash if I wanted to. I can't pay my like gas bill in cash.
100%. There's a lot of people who say too that you need a budget, or YNAB, YNAB, feels like a digital version of cash envelopes. But cash envelopes being essentially you just set categories and set spending limits for those categories, and then you stick to that. So in I was about to say in the olden days, but like obviously people are still doing it. You might again say, okay, here's an envelope and I'm going to write gas or groceries or eating out or clothes or personal care, and then put a certain amount of cash in it. And then when the cash runs out of the envelope, like you're done. So that's one way to tracking your money. There's tons of ways to track your spending, but that's the foundation. So
the next way is one of my favorites personally. It is the concept, and there's a ton of research that supports that this works very well, is put a barrier between the impulse and the decision. And there's a ton of different kind of rules and tricks for this, but don't let yourself, when you have a desire and you want something, don't let yourself buy it right then. Obviously, if it's like an emergency situation and you I don't know, need a fire extinguisher, a new carbon monoxide tester for your house, like buy it right now,
Yeah.
But if it's a want, don't buy it right away, right? Wait, there's something like the 72-hour rule, which do we need to explain that? You just wait 72 hours.
Good explainer.
Thank you.
Have you used that before?
I use it all the time. I mean, they're because, and I don't necessarily specifically use the 72-hour rule, but I will use I'm not going to buy it right now if I'm still thinking about it, a few days from now, which sounds a lot like 72 hours. Then, to my kids, I use this all the time with my daughter because she is like, really likes to buy stuff. One of them in particular, the one that is like, that I birthed, really likes to buy stuff. And I constantly am saying, if you are still as excited about that thing, like she's always going to Walgreens with her friends. She wanted some monkey hat. They were going to get matching monkey hats. And she keeps telling me I ruined the dream for all of them because now nobody has a matching monkey hat. And she was telling me about it like a few days ago. And this thing happened weeks ago.
Wait,
and
can I just...
Yeah.
I just feel like you were being a little bit like dismissive or scoffing. Like, oh, she just wants this monkey hat. Whereas like you are losing your mind about the idea of getting like a purple
Wealthfront hoodie. Yeah. Or a Monarch. I'm open to either one.
You're like,
pink Monarch hoodie would be great, or a purple Wealthfront. Yeah,
purple
she gets it from
hoodie,
me.
very important. Monkey hat, teenagers.
Yeah, she gets it from me. So, anyways, she was sort of still commiserating about how she like didn't have it, and I was like, well, I didn't know you still wanted it. Like, it's been weeks. If you're still like pining for this monkey hat, go get the freaking monkey hat. It was like $10, and so. I do think like there are times, and I'll give you another example, but there are times when I want something really bad and I get so excited in the moment and I make myself kind of wait, or I just get busy. And there's times like I'd say 75% of the time, I don't want that thing anymore. 25% of the time, I'm still thinking about that thing weeks later or months later. And that's when I decide, like I just bought a comforter last night from Buffy. Do you know that brand? They make comforters. I don't know. But I'm like really mad at my comforter because it keeps getting like lumpy on the ends. And I was like,
no,
anyways,
it's the worst.
I've almost been buying, like, I've been thinking about buying this comforter for like literally a year. I almost bought it last winter, and I just bought it last night at a Black Friday sale, by the way, that was on, November 7th. So here's another example, but that's one where I waited. Another example, I was having coffee with a friend of mine last week. His name is Alex. He's in the band that sings our opening and closing music, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Alex.
Which is called Clap for Daylight. Someone the other day was like asking me who that was, a listener. Okay, so he had bought a sauna and like loves it, an infrared sauna.
Okay. A sauna, like a little wooden house.
Like, yeah, an in-home, but one that like is a kit. You put it together, it comes to you, you put it together.
Okay.
And he knew through his wife's sister who owns a wellness spa, like had already done the research, knew that this was like kind of the best bang for your buck and the best quality in-home one that was like affordable. It's like $2,500. I like investments in my health. Greg and I have talked about Asana on and off over the years. And I was like, look, the fact that a like solid recommendation landed in my lap and he's had one and they love it. I literally like almost bought Asana that day, almost spent like $2,500. And I was like, trying to figure out where we could put it and all this stuff. And that's actually what delayed the decision a little bit. And Greg was just saying something to me the other day. He's like, did you decide to buy that sauna? And I was like, no, I was like, I'm not as excited about it as I was the day I, had that. I like, when I first talked to Alex about it, I was like, oh, I have to have this sauna. And part of it's we don't have a great place to put it, but we do have a place we could put it. And I'm just kind of like, I don't, I'm less excited about it. And so there's something about putting some space between that really does work. Like you either are still as excited about it or you're not. And a lot of times I think you'll see you're not. You've moved on to something else.
Yeah. It's absolutely real, because I think we can all probably also think of an example where you were really excited to buy something and you did go out and buy it, and then a couple weeks later you're like, meh.
Yeah. I sometimes by the time that thing arrives to my house,
yeah,
I'm kind of like, meh. I'm like, I can't even remember. I'm like, what did I order? What's this? And that's a sign. And also just a reminder, folks, unrelated to today's topic, but you can return stuff. So if you do realize like, oh, I wasn't even excited when it arrived, like return that thing, get your money back. Okay, so another way is no spend days, because it also puts some space. So if you agree of like, I'm going to have a whole week of no spending or a whole month of no spending, it doesn't mean you're not still like cataloging some things that you were interested in, but it sort of forces some space between the impulse and the decision and lets you see if you're like still as excited about that thing later. So I'm a big fan of putting some space between buying things.
And there's so many different ways to do no spend days. You can say, I want to do 10 no spend days a month, or 15, or a whole week or a month, or no spending on this category for a certain amount of time. And I think what's really fun about no spend days too is that there's so many other people talking about doing them online. It's easy to find other people who are maybe doing a similar challenge to the way that you're trying to challenge yourself. And so it can be fun to connect with people online.
Yeah, agreed.
Another way to put a barrier between the impulse and decision is this thing called the ultimate version rule that I saw from an Instagram account. It's called the broke generation, broke generation. And the gal's name is Emma. She's so good. If you're interested in the psychology around spending, she is one to follow. And she has this rule called trying to buy the ultimate version of a thing. So you give yourself this little quest. If you see like a blazer that you want, or you see a blender that you want, instead of saying, oh, I want to buy this thing that's in front of me, think, oh, I want to buy the ultimate version. And so you put yourself like on this quest, and then the fun, sort of like the dopamine hit of buying something turns into finding the best version of the thing. And so you aim to only buy something once. You aim to buy the highest quality thing. You aim to buy the thing that you're going to keep for years. And you turn it into kind of a little game to buy the ultimate version.
That's interesting, because that also puts some space between.
Right.
Like I had never really like pulled the trigger on Asana because I was like, oh, that feels daunting. I don't know what brand to buy. It's like, so when someone sort of dumped the ultimate version in my lap, I was like, ooh, I want to get this. And even the comforter example I was giving, I did a lot of research on comforters that don't, where the crap inside doesn't move, like stays in its compartments like it's supposed to. The crap inside, I don't know what you call what's in a comforter, but you know what I mean? The fluffy stuff. So I just think that's interesting because there's other benefits, like you said, of like you're getting the best product and something that, lasts a lifetime and everything else. But you're also putting space. So, through that research time,
right,
you may realize, you know what, like I'm not that excited about this. Like my current comforter is good, or, whatever.
Yeah. It definitely still puts time. And what I think I really like about it is that it gives you something to do with that time that still feels kind of fun besides just waiting. Like if you look at the monkey hat and you're like, oh, I should wait 3 days, then you just go home and you're like, I have no monkey hat. But if you see a monkey hat and you're like, you know what, I want to buy the ultimate monkey hat. And then you go home and you're like, I'm going to open up 6 new tabs and I'm going to search for monkey hats and I'm going to read reviews. I find that kind of thing fun. Maybe, to each her own. We all have our own different kinds of fun.
I don't know if a 12-year-old's going to find that fun, but I agree. I do think it's almost like your responsibility to yourself. If you want to spend money on something, you should spend your money thoughtfully and wisely and not impulsively on the first thing you ever saw in that, category. So cool. I really like that. I had never heard that rule before, but I love it.
I love it too. I just love her. And she's, like I said, she's such a good follower. She posted something the other day that I just can't stop thinking about. That was like, I realized my entire life I've been shopping for the perfect. Are you listening to a voicemail?
Well, no. I was looking on her account.
Oh,
sorry. And then I was like turning my volume down. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm listening to the Broke Generation because I was like, oh, am I following her? And I'm following her, but I'm not like getting targeted with her content.
Yeah.
So I was opening some reels and just going to let them play because then that'll make
Totally.
me get targeted for her
That's
content.
so real. It's so true.
Yeah. Real.
Well, she posted something the other day that was like, I've been searching my whole life for the perfect pair of jeans. And I finally realized I was actually trying to shop for a new pair of legs.
Aww.
And I was like, that's so
Deep.
true.
Yeah.
Anyways, I really love her. So, all right. So the next category of the next bag of tricks that we got here is tying spending to something else. So saying, I'm only going to spend like if X, then Y. And one example is if you say, I'm going to invest the same amount as something I'm going to splurge on. So maybe if you like to travel or buy clothes or get your hair done or buy purses or fancy cars or like whatever your fun thing that you like to spend on, you say, okay, for every dollar I spend here, I'm going to invest that same amount.
I love that trick. I guess I've maybe heard of it before, but I haven't heard of it a lot. And I like just like bringing it back up to the front of my mind because I've used that trick with kids before. And I know a lot of people who like when their kids get money from, for a holiday, they kind of say, okay, well, you have to like save half of it. You can spend, they have some percentages. They kind of put guidance of percentages they put in front of their kids. But I like thinking about that of, if I'm going to, buy this comforter or that sauna, can I afford to match it into my brokerage or my savings or whatever it might be?
Yeah. Who's the person who said, if you can't afford it at double the cost, then you can't afford it?
You? I don't know.
No.
You just said it. It sounded great.
Someone, hang on. Now where's my phone?
If you can't afford it at half.
At double
or
the cost.
twice
The cost. That's the same.
Um,
Okay, it's not coming out. All right.
Joseph Mavericks, but I don't know who that is.
I don't know. Well, good job, Joseph Mavericks. Anyways.
That may not be accurate.
Someone somewhere once said this. If you can't afford it at double the cost, then you can't afford it.
And then after they said it, you said it.
Exactly. So I guess I'm taking credit now. If you know, you can find us on Instagram and send us the original source and we'll give credit. But I just think that that's something that always resonated with me, and the idea of literally making something cost double by forcing yourself to save or invest the same amount that you spent on it. I know you just muted yourself, but I definitely heard that big yawn.
I love it.
You're like,
Are you
boring?
No, it's not you, it's me. Yeah, one time, I like how you put notes in here to remind me of my own stories. Like, I think another, thanks, Mom.
I was like, Maggie, do you have an example?
I do have an example. You happen to write it in the notes of something I wouldn't even have thought of. I think one year, like this year or maybe last year, I was like,
maybe I'm doing it right now. I don't know.
I believe I'm supposed to be doing it now, but I have colossally failed at this. Look, I will be the first to admit, ever since I early retired, everything has gone off the deep end in my life in a good and bad way. Just like all my rule, like I was much more disciplined when I had a job, which is interesting. I'm kind of I've told y'all I'm regressing. So
makes sense to me.
And in the market's just doing too well. So maybe when like, things start doing less good, I'll pull myself together again. But I did have a goal to say like the only amount I tried to do a no spending on clothes whatsoever. That felt unrealistic because as I'm retired, I need more leisure wear. Like you never have enough pair of like buttery soft sweatpants.
Fair.
Which I also might have just bought last night. I told Greg this morning, like I did something bad. I was like, like the one thing I don't need is more leisure wear. Anyways, the rule is don't do as I do as I say. I say it to my kids all the time jokingly. The idea is, or the rule I made for myself was I only get to spend money on clothes in the amount that I can make from selling things I'm getting rid of, like selling clothes I'm getting rid of, which I think is a great example of, you could put that in all categories, right? There's a ton of stuff around probably everyone's home where they could get rid of things and they could sell it on a neighborhood Facebook group. I sell clothes on Poshmark sometimes. There's a bunch of different, you can sell stuff on eBay. There's still tons of places you can sell things, and you can make pretty good money doing that, right? You can sell your kids' old clothes, all sorts of stuff. And so I think tying it to something else, like you said, of saying, however much I sell from this, I can, respend on new things is a great rule. And similar idea to the one in, one out rule when you're trying to when you're just trying to have less stuff and less about money, but just trying to minimize the amount of things in your house.
Yeah. I really like this one, and it can work in a lot of different ways. But there was a time I was saying, there was a time I got to expense a lot of things at work, and those were the days. And I was getting just tons of credit card cash back and tons of miles. And I was like, okay, this is all fun money. Like this is all extra. You can spend this on whatever you want. You actually have to spend this on doing something fun. You are not allowed to spend this on your utility bill or retirement savings or anything like that. So this one can also flip and I think be a way to give yourself permission to spend money on something. Like if you have a side hustle, or if you have kind of a subset of income and you want to just label it for a specific purpose, I think that can be helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Or, you can come up with all kinds of rules. I only buy coffee on Tuesdays. I only
buy coffee on days that end in day. I'm good for the rules. Okay.
Good one.
Moving on. I like this was your idea, Liz, so I'm going to talk about it and take credit for it. I'm just kidding. I'm just going to tee it up. So thought patterns. Talk about thought patterns, because I thought this was a pretty cool way of thinking about things.
Yeah, we've bucketed these tricks, right, into a couple different buckets, I guess. So different ways.
Not buckets, they're containers.
Containers. Yeah, strategic containers.
Very different than a bucket.
Totally different than a bucket. So we talked about tracking your spending, putting a barrier between your impulse and your decision, tying your spending to something else, and then this bucket of thought patterns. And just, this is a little bit less formal, but it's just some ways that you can start thinking about things. One is, would you regret this purchase if you got laid off tomorrow, or if the market drops 30% tomorrow, if you're early retired?
That's the one I put on myself, was if the market tanks as I'm expecting it will one of these days, will I feel differently about this purchase?
Especially over the last couple of years when the economy has been a bit of a roller coaster and there have been a lot of layoffs depending on what industry that you work in. And those layoffs have actually come to fruition in my home from time to time. I find this one helpful. When I bought a new car, I thought, well, if one of you lost your job tomorrow, would you still feel comfortable that you bought this car? Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah. No, that's an awesome question. And I think it would give a lot of people pause on certain things. So that sauna is a good example. I probably would regret that purchase if there was some massive decline in the market. Mm-hmm. Because it's the equivalent of me getting laid off, given I don't have a paycheck, but I do have growth happening. And I feel I'm in a decent spot financially, but I wouldn't feel that way if there was a massive decline in the market.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Just something to think about. And again, these aren't, they're not hard rules. They're not quite as wait 72 hours or take 10 no spend days. Those are a little bit more concrete. These are more just thought exercises to do before making a purchase. So another one that you've probably heard before, because I think my mom said this to me when I got my first babysitting job, was think about how many hours of your wages something costs. So at the time I was babysitting for, I think, $5 an hour. So if I wanted to buy a sweater for $20, was that worth 4 hours of work?
Was it?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a great one also. And even as I was getting close to retirement, I would think about this on things. I would think about how hard I had to work to earn that thing. And I've used the same one with my kids. So your mom was right on track giving you that guidance. And you also could think about the future value of that money. So, I mean, there's people who when they buy it's a little harder to do that when you're buying a $20 sweater, but if you're thinking about a car purchase, I do know a lot of people that think, okay, well, if I bought a $40,000 car versus a $20,000 car, what would that look like? Well, you know, what's the future value of that money, and how much larger would my cushion of my emergency savings, my brokerage account, whatever it might be if I made a different decision?
Yeah, it's very scalable. So the same rule that had me thinking about how much babysitting money a sweater was worth definitely has me thinking, I've said this before, I bought a larger and more expensive home than I certainly needed in early pandemic days. And I think to myself sometimes, I will be sad to move out of this house and I don't want to work another 5+ years to pay for it. I would work another couple hours of babysitting if I could. That would be worth it. But
speaking of babysitting, the kids get like $15 an hour these days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's good
I
money.
love that.
And half the time the kids are asleep. But I was talking at a neighborhood thing while I was with my 16-year-old who was meeting someone she was about to babysit for, and there was another mom nearby, and she was like, what, babysitter? And then like gets into the convo and is like, are you available? And she has like a 5-month-old baby.
Aww.
And she was then saying something about, well, we normally pay $20 an hour. And I was like, I'll hold your baby for, I mean, it's like a really cute baby. And I was like, I would love to hang out with this baby for $20 an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might be able to, I should get in the babysitting business. I'm only half joking.
You know what? I was literally thinking that the other day. I was like, wait, because I do, well, this was a little bit circular because I was thinking about how I often struggle to make plans with some friends who need to find babysitters because it's hard to find babysitters. It's hard to find reliable, affordable babysitters for sure. And then I thought I should just babysit for them. And then I was like, wait, but then I can't go hang out.
Yeah.
I would be babysitting.
Well, what's funny is my 16-year-old, the one thing she doesn't like about babysitting is the advanced commitment. Like she's happy to babysit on a night she doesn't have plans, which it's hard to predict at that age because you just don't know when something's going to be cooking and when it's going to be a night where no one's really doing anything. And so I get it. I can relate to that. I'm the same way. I'm like, there's plenty of weekend nights that I'm doing absolutely nothing and I'm just hanging out with Greg. I mean, I should ask, like, can I bring my husband with me? Can we just hang out on your couch instead of my couch? But I also kind of don't want to commit. And I'm like, I don't know, if something pops up, I want to be available.
Yeah.
I don't want to be tied down.
That's fair. That's totally fair. That's why I think that those like preteen years were the golden age of babysitting because you didn't have anything going on.
Yeah. You weren't missing much. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So another rule around like thought patterns is the idea of kind of like, we were talking about this earlier, Liz, of like outsmarting your own brain. Mm-hmm. There's some research around like the type of language you use and how you talk to yourself. So I'm going to give an example that is not money related. Then I'll give one that is, but like you saying to yourself, like, I don't instead of I can't puts a lot more empowerment in the decisions you're making. Like there's a lot of things where we would say, you know, I don't exercise enough, not I can't exercise, right? Like I could exercise more, I just don't, right? And that is reframing and changing the language you use. And so I think I was trying to think how you can apply the idea of this to purchases. Oh yeah. And I was thinking like, you know, a lot of times I hear my kids say this all the time, like, I need this. I need you to buy me this monkey hat or something. And I'm like, no, okay, let's like reframe that. You want this. You do not need this, right? You need a pair of shoes to like wear. You don't need that pair of shoes. You need a pair of shoes and you want this thing that costs this much or whatever it is. And so I think even just reminding us, like, I don't need a sauna. I want a sauna. And then do I want it bad enough that I'm willing, you know, that I recognize how many hours that you can, I think a cool thing about all these things we're talking about is none of these are like singular things. You can layer on a lot of these things and they'll be even more helpful. So reminding myself, I want a sauna. I don't need a sauna. I'll be totally fine without a sauna. And there might be other ways I have access to a sauna also. So it's not an all or nothing thing. And thinking about how much that's going to cost me, how much I would have to work to raise enough money to do that. Thinking about, you know, would I regret this if I got laid off tomorrow? Putting some space between the decision. It's like great that you can, I love the idea of layering on a lot of these things.
Yeah. Or you decide you're only going to buy a sauna after Wealthfront decides to sponsor us and you're going to use your Wealthfront sponsorship money, or you're going to make your Wealthfront bootleg hoodies and sell them and use that to pay for your sauna.
I'll wear the hoodie in the sauna
Don't do
and post lots of pictures
Maybe
online.
a little iron-on will just melt off.
I know. Oh, you're right.
no.
You're right. Then they'll really know it wasn't an original front hoodie.
It's real. I think this is very powerful, very valid. And even the idea of shifting your language from I can't afford this to I'm choosing to spend my money in other ways.
Yeah.
Is just a really simple way to think about it.
I agree. Okay, so the last strategic
container.
Yeah. Also known as bucket, is the idea of doing some like an inventory of what you already own or a decluttering session, like however you want to frame that, but like realize all the stuff you already have, because that can inspire or perhaps trick you into wanting to acquire less. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a huge one. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this.
Well, one way that always works for me is to just do your laundry. Every time I do laundry, I'm like, I don't need more clothes. Wow, look at all these clean clothes I have that I picked out and that I like and that fit me and that work perfectly.
I mean, that's an easy one, right? I mean, you got to finish the laundry. I'm real good at starting laundry and then like it doesn't finish, you know, then you got to put it in the dryer, then you got to fold it, then you got to put it where it goes. So, you know, the whole cycle. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's
like I told you, I'm regressing in my early retirement life. So things are, I know we can do hard things. I try to remind myself that. I'm like, I could do laundry.
You can do. I believe in you. But it is amazing. Laundry is an example. Just going through your own house and revisiting the things that you have purchased, like having a moment of gratitude for the things that you already have. Revisiting, oh, I bought these watercolors. I bought this pickleball set. I bought this yoga mat, and trying to rekindle some of the excitement that you had for those purchases when you first made them, maybe.
Yeah. One of my Instagram accounts that I really love that I think I learned about through you was Begin at Home.
Nicole. I love her.
Yeah, I want to visit Minnesota to see the state, but also to see her. And she often talks about like, it's the same concept of just like appreciating what you already have, but also taking care of what you already have. Mm-hmm. So there'll be times where it's like, you know, I like fully wash and like clean the inside of my car and I'm like, ooh, I feel like I have a new car. Or I'll like really do a deep vacuuming on my couch and on the ottoman where my kids are always trekking in stuff. And I'm like, oh, if the couch feels brand new, you know, like just cleaning up and taking care of what you already have, I think can really make you just want fewer things and have an appreciation and a reminder for everything that you already have. And I think, I mean, literally the process of just walking around your house and opening closets and looking in bins. And, you know, there was something I was putting up recently. I've been going through a bunch of like cabinets in my house and I found like a bunch of Halloween decorations that weren't with my normal Halloween decorations, but I found them after Halloween. And I had I didn't, but I had a little bit of an impulse to buy some new Halloween decor this year because some of my stuff was like old and broken and I'd thrown it away. And I didn't. I resisted just because I was kind of busy. But had I seen the things I already had, I wouldn't have even had that impulse to want more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most of us have a lot and would do well to spend some time reviewing and finding gratitude for the things that we have.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of saying like re-recognizing and reminding yourself everything you already have and taking some time to just, I mean, I often feel overwhelmed with everything I have, yet I still acquire new things from time to time. And so, but I think that the 1 in, 1 out rule is just a really good, or sometimes even the 1 in, 5 out rule. If you're going to agree to buy something, that's another way to kind of trick yourself back to the tie it to something else, right? If you're going to bring something in, agree that you have to get rid of 5 things in exchange for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think overall there's lots of different things you can do, these rules, and they don't have to be forever, but just the idea of set yourself a little challenge. Humans love a little challenge. We love a star chart. We love a goal. We love a little game. We love these little tricks that we play on ourselves.
Yeah. I just thought of a final one.
Yeah. What is it?
And I don't know what strategic container it goes in, but I think it would go with putting a barrier between it. I've had things where Greg and I, some couples already have rules in place like this, but because we have separate finances, we really don't. We just either naturally like discuss things or we don't. But sometimes I'll go through a phase where I'm like, I I'll tell Greg, I'm like, okay, anything we buy, we have to discuss with each other first. Not because we need each other's permission, but because it creates a barrier between me being able to make an impulse decision. I just have to run it by some other human being. And I actually like the idea of saying, like, forget your spouse. Like Liz and I should do something where it's a no spend until I've discussed it with Liz, right? Just as pick a friend, right?
Yeah.
Pick somebody who's going to be, you know, thoughtful and non-judgmental, but kind of throw some, I think you would tell me I could buy a lot of things, maybe.
I probably
I'm trying
would.
to think who. Andrew would be a good person. Andrew would be like, no. You don't need those purple sweatpants that you bought last night. No. You don't need a new comforter. No. You didn't need to buy matching pajamas for your teenage kids.
Maybe you need just a group chat with me and Andrew, and you're like, here's what I'm thinking about buying, and then just let us duke it out.
You're right. Yeah. That's a good idea. I'll throw Greg in there too, maybe. Greg and Erica. We should have more group chats with all the co-hosts. That's a different aside, but but even having somebody who's kind of your accountability. I think I've coined the term accountability buddy before. So making their, you know, again, these are the things to trick ourselves of saying, you know, I have to go and ask this person, and you do it both ways. You know, you find someone who's going to agree to do the same thing with you. Okay. That's my final random thought.
I like it. Buddy system.
Yeah. But I hope these are helpful, and I just want to remind people, if any of these things sound, I don't know, not like hokey, but like that they wouldn't work for you, I do just want to remind you a massive amount of our spending and financial decisions are psychological. So you can trick yourself and create some different rules, and whether you want to call it a trick or not, but create some different rules and habits to help yourself get to a point where you are spending less money and making more thoughtful and intentional decisions, which is always my end goal.
You can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it. You are smart and capable. You have brains in your head. And what's the
Are you
other
talking
thing?
to me or our listeners?
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
What's the thing? It's like a Dr. Seuss. Oh man, I almost had it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the SNL one of like, you and gosh darn it.
Oh,
you're good
people.
enough.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
hang on. This is going to drive me crazy.
I don't know. I'm looking now. What are some of the words?
You have brains in your head and something in your feet.
You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose.
Thank you.
What a nice quote, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, that's from The Places You'll Go, right?
Oh, yeah, I do. I actually own that book. We should do an entire podcast episode on like financial lessons from Dr. Seuss.
Oh.
Yeah? I don't know if that was an terrible idea, Maggie, or a
Intriguing
Well, you just
for
let
sure.
that simmer for a bit, okay? You figure out what strategic container you want to put that idea in, okay?
I think
You don't have to answer me now. Let's put some space between the impulse and the decision.
I like
okay?
it.
We'll see where we both land on that one in a few days.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, I feel like I know where you're going to land, but whatevs.
I like it.
Okay. Well, I think we've done it, right?
I think
can
we
wrap
did it.
this up?
I think
Okay,
we
did
did
it, and we did a lot more. You might not have wanted it all, but we did something.
And we're under an
So-
hour, so
Yeah, that's solid.
that's pretty
for us.
impressive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And this whole hour, hopefully you spent listening to us. You weren't buying something. If you were buying something while listening to this episode, like, geez, you missed the message, okay?
Yeah, unless you were just listening to us while you went grocery shopping, maybe. That sounds
Well, that's
nice.
fair.
That sounds
Yeah,
nice.
that's like a necessity, right? You need to eat.
Yeah. I love it, by the way, when people tell us what they're doing while
they listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either Inside Out Money, or I have a podcast called List Gets Loaded. And I like, my favorite thing in the world is when someone is like, oh, I'm walking my dog listening, or I'm at the gym listening,
cleaning
or
my
I'm like
house,
driving
yeah.
to, and I'm like, oh, it's like I was there with you. It's like, oh, I was running your errands with you all day. This was so fun.
Do you know what my other favorite thing is? When people tell us something like, oh, I feel like I was like hanging out with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, and then they'll say things like, oh, I want to be friends with you or something like that. And then it reminds me of like, you once said that to me. And look at us now. Look at how far we've come.
That's true. If you didn't know, I was a listener to Maggie's previous podcast, Friends on Fire. And I was like, I really like Maggie. I think I would be friends with her. I'm going to make that happen. And then I did.
She put it in a strategic container and it happened.
I dreamed it and then I did it.
Yeah. Because you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, and you can steer yourself in any direction you choose.
Yeah.
Liz gets loaded. Okay.
Thank you.
That's the name of her podcast, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Also describes many of my days. Just kidding. Thank you so much for listening. We know your time is limited and it's valuable and you're important and you have a million things to do. And isn't it just amazing that in the whole universe of like probably billions of hours of podcast content, you found time and we got to spend this time together today? So
it's pretty cool when you think about it, that people like all over the world, you know, listen to us.
What are the odds?
I don't know.
If you liked today's episode.
Is that a rhetorical question? I don't know the odds.
I don't know I don't think we need to do that math. But if you enjoyed today's episode, you can give us a written review. If you're not sure what to write in a review, because sometimes it's hard to think of what to write, you could say like, hey, you could say, here's my favorite co-host. You could say, here's what I like to do while I'm listening to the podcast. You could say this,
something you've learned.
Yeah, or like
podcast.
This is an episode that I liked, or this is the part that made me laugh, or here's something I disagree with, or anything. We like it all. We truly appreciate it when you take the time to leave a review. It really makes fireworks go off in my brain.
It does. It makes us both happy. And we always encourage you to share this episode with a friend or family member. This is a great time to do it also because, again, like it's the holidays, there's just a lot of pressure to spend money this time of year. And so send it to a friend and have a follow-up discussion and like talk about how you guys can be each other's accountability partners this time of year. You can also subscribe to this on whatever podcast app you are listening to. We always love hearing from you. So if you want to send us a voicemail or a text us, you can send that to 404-981-3370. We read and reply to all of them, or you can also hit us up on Instagram.
Yep. You can find Inside Out Money on Instagram at Inside Out Money. You can find me on Instagram at
Liz Gets. I thought we were going to do it. Loaded.
Okay.
At Liz Gets Loaded. At Inside Out Money. Out of here. We're outie.
Inside Out.
We're inside out. Bye, Liz.
Bye, Maggie. Round and round
and round. It's tricky. It's tricky. You spend less money. Oh, that was
shop
good.
around.
I gotta work on that. Shop around. Shop around. Okay. We'll be back here soon. You only get Liz once a month, but you're going to get me every week. And you could probably only handle the two of us once a month anyways.
And if that's the beauty of Inside Out Money too. If this is too silly, just wait. Next week you'll have
listen to Andrew.
Exactly. I feel like
Andrew doesn't let me do this. Andrew like tries to rein me in too much. I don't mean too much. I just mean compared to Liz. You guys are like on opposite ends of.
I have this idea that like one time you're just going to be really busy and Andrew and I are going to have to step in and like co-host with each other. And I can't decide if that's going to be like the best episode or the worst episode.
That would be fun to do some like mashups.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Anyways.
We'll see. Okay. Well, bye guys.
Bye.